Okay, good afternoon, gents. Hope everyone is well. Okay, I'm just wondering whether we're going to have a really low volume. Yesterday was brutal, wasn't it? It was just so slow and bloody boring. So anyway, I'm guessing a lot of institutional traders are taking the holidays, so it's probably why volume's a little bit low and just slow. So we'll see how we get on today anyway. So we got in this morning or this afternoon. Edward, how you doing? Indy, how you doing? Ionis, how are you? How you doing, bud? Okay, I found it tough lately, I got to say. NC, how you doing? I found trading really tough. I don't know what it is at the moment, whether it's just to do with the holidays, I don't know, but I just find it's just so hard to find a decent entry nowadays. There's so many traps. I don't know, it's just found it really hard. I've been trading this style now for a little over 2 years, and trading in general a little over 2.5 years. And since I started learning this style, this is by far the hardest. I don't know what it is. I got no idea. I don't know why there's less setups now. Why should there be? Is there a reason for it? I don't know. If there is, I don't know what the answer is, but there we go. Penguin also took your long and got hit yesterday. Did he really? I can't remember what it was. There was a few took that one, was it? I can't remember what it was. I think it was that one, wasn't it? I didn't think it was a terrible trade. We sort of had a leg up and we had a couple of leg backs, and you just, if you think about it, it's funny you should say that, because I don't know, maybe something like that. I don't know, possibly. Usually goes off something like that, but maybe. But Penguin, obviously, we know how he works, don't we? He'll say we got a leg up. We have made 2 attempts to go lower, and it was a failure. You just think it's going to work, don't you? To me, it's not. I wouldn't say it's really congested. You've got 2 bars there. I don't know whether you class that as congested. Some maybe not. I don't think it's terribly congested, but we've come back and bounced, and we've pushed a bit higher, and we've come back and bounced a few times. Price is certainly being held by the EMA, so I don't know. I don't think that's terrible. It's clearly a second entry long. It's a bullish bar. We've come down below the EMA and we've pushed up, and it's clearly holding. I don't know. Some might say it's congested, some might not. The trouble is, everybody has a slight different tolerance as to what they find. If you bring it together like that, it looks more congested. If you open it up, it doesn't look that bad. So it's just one of those things, isn't it? I think it went, well, we're early, aren't we? Yeah, we're still early. We've got plenty of time left. I think it went, if you went a tick above it, you'd have got a point out of it anyway, so it would have scalped. But, a leg up, 2 legs down, I'd expect that to at least, make a new high. We've had a leg up, I don't know. It's one of those things, isn't it? But I don't think it looked too congested for me. We had a leg down, push up, and another leg down. There was a couple of bars like that, but I don't know. Do you class that as congested? Not necessarily. Who was it? Somebody told me you can trade congestion as long as you know what you're doing. So, sometimes, I don't know what it is anyway, but I've found trading particularly hard lately. There's a lot less setups. We're clearly worked up anyway. There's a lot less setups. But I don't know what you guys think, but I just think it's brutal lately. Setups have almost vanished. I don't know. I've just found it frustrating lately, I have. So, same as I'm just going to try and just sit patiently and just focus and try and find ones that, just jump out at you. The ones I mean. The really obvious ones, that's all I can do at the moment. You take anything slightly risky and it seems to go against you. I don't fully understand how all the algorithms work within the ES. I'm assuming the algorithms, the computer system that runs the ES, and I'm assuming it looks for weak points, ways of taking profits. I suppose that's how it works. I don't fully understand the nuts and bolts of it. I'm a retail trader. I'm not, I've never worked in a bank or a trading firm that knows the ins and outs all the technical side of trading. I'm just like you guys. It's rough finding a set at the minute. It is. I mean, that trade I took yesterday, did it fit the rules? Well, it sort of did. It's a second entry long. It's a failure. Prices being, the EMA's holding prices. I don't know, perhaps because we had a push up, but not quite as high that time, maybe. I don't know, maybe it tried to get higher, but it couldn't there, so it came back. So maybe it's weak. Maybe there's less buyers in there. But the way we had those two bars, you think, but I don't know. If we got a break of this channel, we come back, we try to go higher. But a lot of times we'll go up and we'll come down and try again. But I don't know. I don't think it was a terrible trade. But I had a discussion with I forget who it was. There was someone on the chart yesterday saying it's not a failure, blah, blah, blah. It's clearly a failure because we've got a new low after here. Yeah, try to go lower once, try to go lower twice. It's a failure. Context might not be brilliant. I don't think the context is terrible. I don't know, though. If you were scalping a point, you'd have made it. But I don't know. What I am finding lately is, I don't know whether it's a case of we're going to end up going back to a point again or what. I don't know. But I know the ATR, I was watching the market last night. The ATR was down to about 130. So the average bar with 2 ticks is less than 2 points. So I don't know. It might be the case of if it continues like this, going back to a point and just trying to get 2 1-point trades. You'd have got a point off that. Something else I took yesterday. But the trade I took after that, I clearly felt myself jump in a bit. And that's what I'm trying to work on because it's tough. You lose a trade, straight away you feel differently, don't you? You can feel it. It's almost like your blood sort of comes alive, doesn't it? It rushes around your body. So that, unfortunately, is the psychological effect of trading. I'm assuming as you sort of progress year after year, it becomes less when you get used to it. Who knows? I like to think it does. I hope it does, because trading can be quite stressful, and I hate to think I'm going to be feeling this stress for the rest of my days. But there we go. Morning, Growl Daddy. How you doing? So yeah, so I don't know. The Penguin, like I say, Penguin got hit. He must have put his video on late because I couldn't see it yesterday. But the thing is with the Penguin guy. I think I was looking at his trades and he seems to have a win rate of about 80%, which is not super high, but what he does is goes for a minimum of 1 to 1, and in a lot of cases 1 to 2. So you can have an 80% win rate, you can have a 60% win rate and still make money, which is what I aspire to do, to take more points. But you've got to be pretty accurate. But the really good setups, they do move because every man at his job jumps on it and away it goes. You know what I mean? It was just his chart, no video. Okay. I'm going to say I did have a look out. But yeah, I felt yesterday was brutal. I did trade in the afternoon and I managed to get back break even minus about a couple of dollars because I was about, I don't know, $380 down when I finished. Now, usually as a rule, I try not to trade on, but I went away, calmed down a bit, chilled out, and I came back in the evening, and when it was pushing up here, I think I took that trade there. To me, it was 2 legs. Now, I'm not a fan of taking them under the EMA, but Mac does take them under the EMA. I think, was it that one? I think it was that one. The second entry was that. No, it was the higher low. It was the higher low. We had 2 perfect legs down. I was just a bit unsure about that, but what I liked, it was a failure as well, which triggered. And once that pushed up above that, that takes out any possible shorts, because that was a good short if the market was going to come down. But obviously yesterday it came up, so I took the higher low. So that got me back within spitting distance. So, but I did cut a couple of people off the stream yesterday, a couple of people's comments. I won't say who it is. I don't mean it nastily, but I don't know, people saying it's not this, it's not that. Sometimes people comment now, 98% of the comments I get are nice and positive, but I just hate that negative stuff. Doesn't do anybody any good. Arguing with you, it's not a second entry. It was. He went, well, it was technically a second entry. I went, well, it's either a second entry or it's not, but just a couple of guys I've had similar sort of negative comments before. Not nasty, but just negative. But I don't want to hear stuff like that. The worst thing you can do if you're struggling is to hear negative stuff. You want to hear positive stuff. You want to hear things like, don't worry, stick at it, all the supportive, positive stuff. Sometimes, things happen. But I had a conversation on the phone last night for about 20 minutes with a trader guy I know in the US. And he said to me, I think you're forgetting you've only been doing this 2 years. It is not long. It takes time. For you to make consistent money takes longer than 2 years. I think you're being a bit hard on yourself. So I had a good conversation with him. So yeah, sometimes I can be a bit hard on myself and I can beat myself up a bit, but I'm just going to try and forget it. And I am getting better at calming down now and relaxing. Market's about to open now, but I just think I just need to sit there nice and patiently. And when I'm about to take a trade, or when I'm in a trade, I'm not going to look at the comments, because I've had comments before. I forget who it was. Someone said no, and I got out of it, and it worked perfectly. So I've got to learn my own way. I can't learn based on what other people think. Sure, we can have a conversation about the trade afterwards, but the last thing you want to do is, when you take a trade, is for a trader to go, no. I did it, I don't know, a week or two ago, and the trade worked beautifully in the end, and I got out of it for minus a tick. So yeah, you have to do your own thing, and you have to learn yourself. It's how it works. But okay, so that's my little speech. SW Blaze, how you doing? But yeah, I did take a couple of people off the comments. I just found some of the regular comments they're doing are quite negative, and I don't mean it in a mean way. Everyone's different. They've got different personalities, and some people just come over differently. But if I find something's continually negative, then I'll just stop the comments. But to be fair, it's very few and far between. Right, let's have a look. Okay, so we seem to have a channel there. Let's have a look. Maybe something like that, possibly. Actually, let's leave it like that for now. Okay, and I'm trying to be extra careful with these as well. I don't have a great deal of luck with these until I know we've established a proper range. It's a bit too early, really. It's sort of ranging, but initial couple of pushes up and we're working down, so I'm not sure whether it'll trigger here and come down. So it's your stream, you created it to benefit your trading. Why should you put up the crap? Yeah. I don't mean it in a nasty way, and I don't want to just cut people off that I'm not happy with, what they say. But if I find we're constantly getting a negative vibe from them, it's not good for me, and I don't think it's good for other traders in the stream as well. So I haven't said who they are, because I'm not picking names at all. But if I find someone's doing really negative stuff again and again and again, I'm just going to knock them off the comments. And then maybe, I don't know, if I get an email from them saying, I apologise, it's just the way I come over, then fair enough. That's no problem. Then I'll put it back up. But if there's lots of negative stuff, it doesn't do me any good, and it doesn't do anybody else any good. So I've got to try and keep on top of that. But it's very few. I think I've knocked off about 3 or 4 people in the last 7 months, but that's all. But so, hey Rodian, how you doing, bud? In fact, I got an email from a guy last night. What was it this morning? In Australia, expat, ex-British guy who's been through the same sort of thing. Who says he watches in the background. So it's nice to get comments. Some people just watch in the background and don't have a chat. But was it Dave? I forget now. Dave, yeah, a guy called Dave, an expat guy called Dave. Saying maybe we'll have a beer one day in Australia. That's my plan, to go to Australia to watch the cricket. So it's nice to get a comment. Expat living on the Gold Coast sounds nice. So yeah, I enjoy getting some messages. Doing great, excellent, good on you, mate. Cricket tomorrow. We need to win this one and the next one. Unfortunately, there's a lot of rain cast, so if it's a draw, then we're knackered. So, okay. it's clearly bouncing off this bottom, but it does seem to be making lower highs. So I've got to be careful taking along here because it may trigger you and then just kick you up the arse. You are never going to find an A+ trader watching someone's YouTube channel during peak hours. So that's why people act like they are pro traders in the chat. Yeah, I agree with you, mate. Yeah. People who chit chat generally are sort of more around my level, sort of learning and all this sort of thing. But yeah, people who are making a ton of money are not going to, sit a lot in the chat, really. I suppose they're going to be zero focused. But yeah, I know what you're saying. I suppose this YouTube channel's for maybe people of my level. So maybe they, a bit of company, maybe they can look at my chart and compare what they see to me. Sometimes it just, if you've got two people drawing the same chart, it just gets it in your head that, okay, if he's got it that way and I have, then that's probably, two heads are better than one. Dave from Only Fools and Horses. That's the one. That's the very one. Big old favourite of mine, Only Fools. I actually met some of the cast once. I went to an Only Fools and Horses convention on the outskirts of London years ago. And I met a bunch of the cast. Yeah, it's bouncing off here. I did look at that one. It was quite a small risk. And that one as well. But I'm not a fan of taking a big ass bar like that. Especially when we're only getting up to the midline. Hey Alex, how you doing? JP, morning folks, morning to you, mate. Morning to you. Have I missed anybody? I don't think so. Good morning from Chicago. Yeah, Blaze, we've had a chat, haven't we? Chicago, it's miserable here in the UK at the moment. Pissing down outside. Typical British weather. Kids are born with a weatherproof on in this country. Okay, so we seem to be bouncing off this midline. Okay, not interested in that. Tricky kept calling Rodney Dave. Yeah, great stuff. In fact, I watched look at that. I watched a program a couple of days ago with Sue Holderness, who plays Marlene, was at John Chalice's grave. He died recently, didn't he, sadly? She was visiting his grave. But yeah, he didn't live far from me, 25 miles up the road, in a place called Wigmore. A lovely little town just outside the outskirts of Ludlow. There's 30 seconds latency when I enter trade. Is there really? That's a lot, that. It's usually about 10 to 12 seconds. Let's have a look on my stream health. That's a lot, that, mate. See, we're supposed to be getting super fiber 900 megabits, and then I can adjust it to high latency or low latency, which I believe is 2 or 3 seconds then. But until we get that, I'm a bit screwed. Okay, so we seem to be bouncing off this midline. So possible second entry short. Same again, I'm not taking it. I'm just not a fan of this. There's 4 points from top to bottom. That doesn't leave you a lot of room for error, so I'm just going to have to sit and watch. I'm trying to focus. I spend so much time winning trades and losing trades and getting about $400 up on a week. So I'm just going to try and filter out the crap trades and just wait for those A+ trades. You know, the ones that we get in and they just work. So I know it's probably going to mean at the moment I may only get down to maybe 3 trades a week, something like that. But I'd rather 3 good trades a week than 6 half good, half bad and end up the same. So I'm just trying not to rush. Okay, so it's bouncing off that. You could take that one and say it's fell breakout, but the trouble is we've been up the top here, so that's the problem. We do seem to be working in this area. Excuse me, but it's finishing aft anyway. thought if we can hit this and end up bearish, you might call that. It does seem to be working between these levels at the moment, but as I say, between those levels, you got 4 points, which isn't a lot of room. Really chopping over at the moment. Yeah, it is, mate. Did we start? No dumping now. Didn't we start like this yesterday? We had lots of it, didn't we? Chop down here, push up, chop, push up, chop, push up, chop. It wasn't the best day, and not only that, it was so slow. Do you know, I'm just wondering if anybody changed there. I was experimenting last night, and you see there's not a huge amount of volume. If you switch on to the 500 tick chart, look at that. It's like a day's worth of trading there. I'm just wondering whether on these really slow days, maybe just go down to 1,000 tick chart. There's certainly a lot more volume, isn't there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I know we did change, didn't we? Was it about a year ago? I forget what was happening. Something was happening in the markets, and Max said you could go up to a 3,000 or 4,000 tick chart. Does anybody remember that? I can't remember whether it was something to do with just, you know, the fallout from lockdown or something. I don't know. I don't know what it was. But yeah, I'm going to have to try and wait for something obvious and a lovely trend, maybe 2 pushes up and a nice bearish bar. Yeah, I don't think you guys in the US had Only Fools and Horses. It was just a British sitcom in the 80s. British comedy, classic British comedy. I don't know whether, because sometimes I think a lot of you US guys don't. We've got quite a different sense of humour, so I think a lot of our comedy you guys don't get. I don't think so. I don't know whether you'd had it over there. Okay, so that measured move's played out. Let's see if there's anything working there. Possibly. Let's get rid of that. $506, 10,000 tick European session. European session. Do you know, I was thinking, I was playing around with this, you know, this here, trying to find where the Nikkei was. Now, I don't know if you guys know the Nikkei. You probably do. The Nikkei's Far Eastern market. It's a Far Eastern indice, but I couldn't seem to figure out how to get it. Because the beauty of the Far Eastern market for me, I think it's the same. Rodian, you're Australia, aren't you? I think it's obviously Far East. It's close to Australia, isn't it? Around Singapore and all that area. So just wondering, it'd be nice to have the option to trade maybe later in the evening sometimes. But I don't know how to get it. I've looked on Apex's website and you can trade the Nikkei. You know, maybe if you were doing something in a day and you wanted to trade something different, or at least maybe have a little look at trading a different sort of market, a different sort of hour, different time frame type of market. $75 tick with the FDAX. European market. So we're okay. So European market. That's our time frame, isn't it? The morning time frame. So UK time, more or less. Europe, I think, spreads up to, I think, between our time frame and 3 hours ahead. So yeah, I'm assuming that would be the, yeah. So that would be in the morning. Maybe that's something I could possibly look at sometimes. Okay, so break above here, but it's still a bit early. Yeah, I'm not a massive fan of shorting this just yet. I don't think it would be a bad trade to take. But I don't have a lot of luck picking these tops at the moment. I'd rather, I mean, it's only really been up quickly twice there and back down, so I just, will it work for 2 points? Probably. But I'm just not a fan of picking tops at the moment. Yeah, ATM your time. What's it called? The FDAX. I'm assuming it's in here somewhere, is it? So the only thing is that I thought I would have to change is this. Let's move that over because I've got my trading hours set to this. I'm assuming I would have to change it to something, would I? Yeah, because I've got mine CME US in the futures. I'm assuming I would have to change that. I don't know too much about it. I've only really traded this, and I've played around on a sim on the Nasdaq, just to get a feel for that, to see whether there was a possibility. The Nikkei focuses on Japanese market. Yeah. The thing is, it's, sometimes if you want to do something, I don't know, later in the evening or in the morning, it'd be nice to have the option to do that. Trade, Far Eastern markets. I think, Rodian, you're classed as Far Eastern markets, are you? You're Australian, I'm pretty sure you are. So Far Eastern markets would be 9 or 11 hours ahead of me. So, our late evening might be their early morning. So Far Eastern normal working hours might be, I don't know, maybe from 10 o'clock UK time in the evening, something like that. It'd be nice to have the option to do that. Okay, I don't think that made 2 points. No, it didn't. You'd have got a point and a quarter to push there, so good choice to leave that alone. So that does look like a channel, which we've had a bit of an overshoot. So maybe it's going to peak, come down. I don't know. Okay, yeah, I believe the Nikkei symbol is N225. Let me just take a quick photo of that. But nice to just have a look at those markets, sometimes if I'm bored in the evening or something and I'm feeling super patient. I don't know why I've got that bloody art on the way there. Let's have a look. Yeah, I'll have a look at that. Okay. Possibly the NK. Yeah, I'm assuming you've got to change your data, haven't you? Obviously data comes via, I believe it comes via rhythmic. So, yeah, I'm assuming I need to change it there, and obviously traded hours as well. Wherever it is, probably in there somewhere, isn't it? But I'll have to have a look. Have I changed anything? No, I haven't. Yeah, it does make you wonder with the Nikkei, doesn't it? Maybe I wonder. Obviously, we're studying human behaviour here, aren't we? You don't know whether these different sort of regions around the world see things slightly different, whether, that would make a difference in the markets. I suppose it's possible. Yeah. Touch. Okay, so far so good. Okay, so a bit of an overshoot, couple of legs up. Maybe this is going to come down. Same again, not interested. I don't have a lot of luck with those, and as far as I suppose we all have our strengths and weaknesses. Picking tops is not one of mine. I'm not a fan of it. My knees shake when I get in these trades, so I think the best thing to do is to leave them alone. It is a bit congested and a little bit sideways there anyway, so... So yeah, best thing is just to stay out of this. I'm not sure whether we're working up now in a trend or whether we're just going to fail breakout and come back in here and work sideways. You switched over to trade of 8 to get the Eurex futures. Trade. The bond. There. Are they German markets there? I think so. Yeah, all I've ever really traded, I traded when I first started to learn to trade a little over 2.5 years ago. It was just different. Well, it was currency, just different currency pairs, whatever. We were looking for trends, basically. So I was part of Andrew Lockwood's Merry Men. And he's a British trader. He worked in the big city banks during the 80s in the London Stock Exchange, trading all sorts of different things for various different banks. And he spent 5 years, I think, over in Singapore as well, doing some stuff over there, and then went working for himself in the early mid-2000s. And we had a piece of software called the Strength Indicator, where we find strong currencies against weak currencies. Hence, then you have a trend. And I think we worked on the 8, 13 and 21 day moving averages. And I think the strategy was, if it came into the 8, touched the 13 but didn't push any higher, you would count back so many bars, and your stop loss would go there and your profit would go there, and you would take I think your profit would come in 2 stages, 1 to 1, and then if that one passed, you stops to break even, and then you would go for something like that. I think a lot of these trades work on very similar methods. Go to your NT control panel, tools, instrument list, futures, add, try NK to choose. What I don't want to do is go to your Ninja Trader. You're showing about up here, aren't you? List of futures. And you got to type in NK, have you? Is it not in there? It's not, is it? Look. It's all right. For some reason, there's a red love art typing over on the screen on one of the, covering up a few of the words. Go to Ninja Control Panel, Tools, Instrument List. Instrument List, Futures, Add, then type, Add. Okay, so where's the ad? I'll tell you what, I'll take a photo of that and have a look. Excuse me, I'll have a look later. Otherwise I'll get myself into a mess. Yeah. Okay. So it does look like it's pushed in here. So it's pushed below the email. Let's see if it comes back in here. So that did work, but same again, a little bit congested. That didn't, so you don't know whether we're going to continue high, but that looked like a bit of an overshoot. We sort of worked something like that, bit of an overshoot maybe. Got the pushes up and okay, struggle once, struggle twice, possible failure. Ooh, second entry long, possible failure. Oh, what do we do? It's a second entry long there, so if any traders are in there, that's triggered. So
order submitted.
Let's see how how low that possible failure goes, because we've pushed back into this range. Whoa. Okay.
Order cancelled.
So yeah, I don't think you've had a chance to get in there anyway, but something worked. I'll have to look. You need to look at that in slow motion. So as soon as that closed, literally within a second, I'm assuming there was some sell orders there, because it pushed down literally the best part of 2 points in a split second. So if you did have any, if you did take that once it triggered, wham, it took you out. You wouldn't have had a chance to get into there if you wanted to anyway. So interesting. It's not often you see moves that quick. Okay, so try go once, try go twice. There's the failure. I don't think that went for 2 points, did it? No, you'd have got a 1.5 at a push out of that. And I've literally gone right from the bottom. To be honest with you, it's bouncing along there. EMA's a bit flat, so it's a bit iffy, isn't it? Okay, so maybe this is going to turn into a bigger channel. No, I've got to stop doing that. I get into these channels too early and they throw my mindset. So let's just leave it at that. Touch, touch. That's working okay out there, so let's leave that like that. And that as well. I draw these too quick, and I think sometimes it goes against you. I will say, I mentioned last week about, you know, things like meditation and all this. What I have found is if I can get to my screen 15 minutes before and do a few breathing exercises and a little bit of meditation, it does calm you. But sometimes, you know, you've all noticed, does anybody sit at their desk and we open this chart ready to trade and you can feel your heart rate climb and you can feel that blood going around your system? I get that every day. And I think it's important to try and calm that because it can get you a little bit too excited and a bit trigger happy. I get it myself. So I try and get here now, open my chart, look at it in front of me, but then sort of ignore it and or aware it's there, but then do some breathing exercise and try and calm me down. I get exactly the same result if I don't do anything for 20 minutes and just sit and watch it. I do find sometimes the longer I've been trading, the better choices I make. Okay, so leg. Maybe we get a new high here. Does look like a leg breaking a leg. So let's see what happens when we get up here. Okay, beautiful. That'll take us above there. So I fully expect to break that line there. Break the highs. Don't forget, guys, we still have this 80% off at the moment. I believe it goes to the end of the month, so you've got about another 12, 13 days. My code's down there. If you do use it, it doesn't cost you anything extra, but it does give me a kickback, as you know. So if you do use it or you have used it, it is appreciated. Also, Replicanter has gone to 20%. It's about a couple of weeks ago I put it in there, but so that makes it 20% cheaper than Apex, and in my opinion it's a better product. It's got regular updates to it, and I just get, well, you guys see me, I don't get no problems with it at all. Whereas if you remember back a few months ago when I was using Apex, I got all sorts of bloody problems with it. Stuff being left down here, and I remember Nick phoning me saying, you've still got something left down here, so I don't get that problem. So I got both codes down there, so if you use either of them, it is much appreciated. I'm going to test something now. I'm going to test the latency on this. So, okay. About 13 seconds delay. I might count that a bit slow, but yeah, 10 to 12, around about 12 seconds, 10 to 12 seconds delay, something like that. But I do believe that if I go into, yeah, I've got the latency on normal. I can have ultra low. Trouble is it uses a lot more data, and I haven't got that at the moment. But when I do, I will update it. Okay, so that clearly pushed above there. Yes, even if you thought that was a channel, if we come back and bounce here a couple of times, unfortunately we closed under the top of this range here, so, and the EMA was flat, so there was no entry there. There was a second entry there, but it triggered you, stopped you out. You just can't take that really anyway, because it's under the EMA, and EMA's dipping a touch. In fact, you probably expect it to do anyway because of the drop from there to there, but there was no entry there. Same again, no high or low or anything like that to take that up. That's the problem. Is I don't know why there were so many entries a year ago, but there's not now. I don't quite get it. Anything I put it, well, I don't know whether things like the algorithms have been improved, and no idea. Okay, so by the looks of things, we may get up to yesterday's high. Okay, we do seem to be working back up because we had about 4 months of just really good, strong, and I think yesterday's the highest we've been this year, I'd say. We had that great big long downtrend over, I don't know, maybe about 14, 15 months. And then I think the last 4 months, 5 months maybe, maybe at the beginning of the year, we've obviously broken out of it. We came out the daily bounce and we've been working up ever since. So this, once we break this, that'll be the highest high of this. That'll be this as high as we've been. So I would expect to break this high. That measured leg takes us a tick above it, so that would make perfect sense. So let's see if there's any type of a channel here. ATR's dropping again. I mean, the positive side about the ATR is the risk's low, so is the profit though. That's the downside to it. We're almost going back to the days where you would have a 2-point maximum risk, in which case it might be a case that in due course I may end up going from 2 points to 6 ticks. I mean, if you've got a maximum of a 2-point risk, I've got no real problem with going for 6 ticks. If it does stay continuously low, it may be a case of, in that case, if I go for 6 ticks, moving up to 3 contracts. Bedtime. Get yourself off to bed, Rodin. I'll catch up with you tomorrow, pal. Nice to get 2 legs down to the EMA. Yeah, leg up, clear 2 legs down, 1 leg, 2 legs down, another push up. Unfortunately, there wasn't a higher low. Normally, after a leg like that with 2 clear legs down, you get a higher low above the EMA. That's a good, usually good entry, but so many times now we're just not getting it. It just seems to take off. I was just going to do that, mate. Trouble is, you've got to be careful doing that. I've found sometimes that can be a bit detrimental because it's only really touched twice in that bigger channel. So if we can get up here and we come down and bounce around about here and push up, then I'll draw that. But I like to wait until I think we've touched it 3 times, because I've found out sometimes it can just get me in a bit of bother. So at the moment we've got 2 smaller channels. We've just had 2 pushes up. Once we get up here, and if indeed then we do come down and bounce and push again, then I'll draw that once we get excuse me, when we get 3 touches. But at the moment we've had a leg up, 2-legged correction. That's why I'm always going to not take this first one. When we have this 2 legs, wait for the higher low, because if you took that one, you think, oh yeah, 2 legs down, 2 leg break of the channel, 2 legs down, beautiful. What happens? Trigger just stops you out and then rockets up, and then maybe. So I think the best thing to do is to wait for it to bottom out, push above the EMA, and then wait for a higher low. That would have been it if it would have come down a little bit here and touched, but it didn't, unfortunately, and it just went up without us. But I've just given up now trying to battle these and trying to jump in cheekily and get away with stuff because it just doesn't work. That's where all the traps are. Very similar to this in a way. We went up and we had this weird bit of sideways stuff. But if we can get a couple of pushes down to the EMA, maybe break the low of this, then I may be interested in going long up to this to play out this measured move. But it does look like a leg, 2 legs of correction and another leg. So these are really accurate, these. I'll be surprised if it doesn't hit that one. But it's just finding an entry, really. Ideally, if it's going sideways, fell, break out the bottom of a range, sitting nicely on top of there wouldn't be a good option. Would be a good option. There's strong liquidity between 65 and 67, which basically that line's right in the middle of it. So I would expect it to get up there to that. Between 65 and 67, there's the best part on 900 orders. A lot more than what's below. So I would expect to get into that area there. Which is perfect for that. But if it doesn't get back to the EMA and give us a second entry, just can't get in. But that's the frustrating thing. Sometimes nowadays it just doesn't even get close. It just it just comes out and goes up. It just doesn't give you an option. But unfortunately, there isn't a lot you can do. There is a bit of resistance there, so I'm hoping it may come back here and then have another push up, because if you're going to get into a trade here, that's not where you want to get into it. Back here is yeah, unfortunately, I can't take that one. The only way I'm going to take this is if it drops out the bottom and then sits on top of there. I've been burnt so many times on this. If I take that, it's right in the middle of that congestion. It's just risky. Is it likely going to go up? I'd say so, yeah, but unfortunately, I just can't get into it. I've joined Indy on the NQ moves a little cleaner recently, still trying to work out. Yeah, there's a different point system, isn't there? What I found is, how did I work out? If I go down from 2 contracts to 1 contract, it seemed to work out it's very similar. Obviously, the point system's different, isn't it? I am looking at it. Sometimes I'll come back in the evening and I'll just get it on and I'll just mess around on a demo just to get a feel for it. The only downside I would say is if you're trading this at the same time, and what I was found, if I'm doing a trade on the ES and I'm looking at the NQ, sometimes if the NQ comes down, the EMS almost mirrors it. So I don't know whether it can be frustrating or a bit nerve-wracking trading the two together. I don't know. I I think that's something you'll, with a bit of time, you might figure that one out. But now, if this does come down here, then I may be thinking about something different. But until we get close to this line, if we continue to go sideways to here, then I would say then I'm thinking then maybe we'll push up, maybe there is a bigger channel. But until we get 3 hits on it, I can't put it because it's got me into trouble before. I did a channel, was it yesterday, that got me into a trade. No, it was I can't remember what it was further back, but it got me into a trade. So sometimes you're better off drawing this small stuff first and then wait for it to confirm before you put it. But just out of curiosity, obviously we know a lot of times it'll do this in a channel, it'll push up, it'll go sideways until it gets to the EMA and the edge of the trade channel, and that's where it'll then start to move up. Isn't the NQ tech stocks mainly, isn't it, I think? I don't know what it is size-wise in comparison to the ES. Is it a bigger package or what? I know Max says you can trade anything, any time frame with exact price action and works exactly the same apparently. The only way, I mean, if you took a time frame, if you took out a 2000 tick chart and put an hour tick chart, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference apparently, apart from obviously the hour tick chart would move a lot slower, but see if that does work to here. Yeah, I suppose so, bud. I suppose so. Okay. Interesting. So if you took that one as a higher low, it's triggered you. Let's see what happens. See if that comes down and stops you out. I'd say it most definitely will do. Be interesting to see whether it stops below that one as well. Sometimes, you know, I mentioned last week about getting 3 or 4 green or red bars. See if that drops below there. I wouldn't be shocked. So if you took that one, you got stopped out. That's the frustrating thing, is wherever there's trades, there's traps. That's what I mean. You remember last week I mentioned if you're getting like 2 or 3 big bars in a very tight cordon, you know, like you know, we get these short-term trend channels, you know, the really short ones like that. If you get maybe 2 or 3 in a row like that sort of stuff, well, maybe, I don't know, this type of size, maybe you just drop a trade in there and go for 6 tick risk or 2 point risk, 2 point. I looked at a chart last week, we were ranging for the day and I was just browsing and it worked 6 or 7 times in a row. Trouble is, we look for trades at the key entry point. Well, surprise, surprise, that's where the traps are. So you got more chance of getting trapped at these key entry points. No one's trying to trap you in the middle of something like this. Do you know what I mean? It's where there's setups. So I think sometimes you'd be better off, you know, see this here, let's say stop here, we go 1, 2, 3, nice big bars in a row, then we jump in here, go for 2 points. This one here, 1, 2, 3, nice big bars in a row, jump in, go for 2 points. 1, 2, 3, jump in, go for 2. You may have made it there, but you know the idea. There's quite a lot of these. Whenever we get into these tight ranges, market often moves quite a bit. Okay, so if you did, you can recount that top or you can count it again. So you can say first entry, second entry. So that is a second entry long. I have heard Max say you can recount these or restart them. So at the moment, the stop for that is still intact. I wouldn't take it because it's obviously clearly congested, but be interesting to see how much protection you've got on this line to see whether it does, anything does indeed break below it. I'm guessing this might, because that could be a second entry long. If we drop below and then sit nice and bullish here, it may bring into that line. I think if we drop out the bottom a bit and then sit on there, then that might not be a bad option, because we've got a high here, haven't we? First entry, 1 leg, 2 leg. Trouble is, I'm taking that right at the midline. It's just a bit too risky. Occasionally, we do see it now and again, you'll see it drop out here and all of a sudden shoot up really quickly. That tells me there's some large orders in there, and the people that make these large orders are the guys that I want to follow. And I will say the few times over the last couple of weeks that that's happened, I've gone long above it and it's worked beautifully. Now, if it does drop out, this might be an area where you've got a lot of longs, maybe some big pockets going long here, waiting for it to drop out of here and thinking about going, continuing on up. I expect it to push up soon, come into this line, so maybe this channel is in play. I just don't like going long right in the middle of there, because it could trigger you and it could drop and then push up. It's hard to say. It continue to go sideways just for a little bit longer. I mean, it's a nice looking bar, but I don't know. I just think it's slightly risky. What's that, Dr. Linney? The TNS window Ninja Trace allows you to filter for large orders. I have it print an ES orders on 50 lots. If you have level 2 data. I haven't got level 2 data on here, but what is level 2 data? Isn't it bookmap? You've got to pay extra for level 2 data through Rhythmic, haven't you? I think it's done through Apex, isn't it? I think. I'll take a photo of that. Yeah, if she'd have taken this, your arse would be twitching now. I'm not saying it's not going to work, but I'd much prefer a drop out and it to sit right on here. Yeah, that's what I'd prefer. Drop out then sitting right there really before I think about. I don't want to do something which has gone off into that range. Yeah, same on Bookmap. Extras for Apex, yeah. Filters for large orders allows you to filter for. So you want to filter out the smaller orders, is that what you mean, and keep the larger orders there? Because obviously the larger orders, if you're trading for big lot or big contract amounts, you know, maybe 100, 200, 500,000 contracts, whatever you're doing, generally the people that would trade that amounts would be more the institutional guys. Now, there's possible entry here. The trouble is, it's struggling to get above it, and it's almost tipping, and that's just making me a bit nervous. So, I'm going to give that one a miss. That's the type of trade I was looking for, and who knows, it may work. But I'm just a bit nervous. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the bar anyway. It's a tick or two off a doji. It's below the EMA. EMA's tipping. We are making lower highs, but in all fairness, they are within this. But it's just added a little bit of extra risk to me. It's choppy. It's sideways. There's going to be lots of traps. If you took that one, it triggered you trapped. If you took that one, triggered you trapped. If you took that one, triggered you trapped. It's just, I'm not a fan of what's going on here, to be honest with you. And until I see something that literally jumps out and waves in front of me, I'm just going to have to leave it. I've got to get back to that way of doing things. I had a moment of clarity for about a week, a few weeks back. Excuse me. I took 4 trades in a week, one a day over 4 days. One day I had no trades and I won every one of them. So in a week I'd earned the $800 per account, and that's because I was sitting there and waiting for those obvious. And I think there was a day or two where I didn't take a trade at all, and I think, in all honesty, that's where I've got to get back to, is waiting for these, you know, 9 out of 10 trades, 9.5 out of 10 trades, and just leave the rest alone, because at the moment volume's low. You know, there's this, a lot of the guys that really move the markets are on holiday, and those guys really you want, because when they get in an entry, market's moving, that's where you want to follow. So I'm just going to have to sit here, and if I don't get a trade today, much better to go home on zero than to take a stupid trade. I took 2 trades yesterday within the first sort of 35 minutes, and I lost them both because they weren't what I would call obviously really good and obvious trades. Now fortunately I got break even, but otherwise I'd have had to now take 2 more trades to get break even, and that could take 2 days. So I think my best option really is just to sit there and just wait for those A1 trades and nothing less. I think sometimes when people say, you know, you've got to be really strict, you know, you've got to have discipline, only take those best trades. It's very hard to get over exactly how strict you need to be and how good to the trades need to be. Do you need like a perfect, you know, do you need sort of a perfect channel like that fits perfectly? You know, and then sort of have that type of thing with a beautiful big bit. You know what I mean? How strict does it need to be? I suppose you can only tell that with experience, but okay, so let's have a little look here. So maybe this is a bit of a spiking channel. let's go from there, because that actually works really nice. It works perfectly on the back as well. But I still don't want to take anything just in case it is slightly wider and I've got it a little bit wrong. But I've got to say, some of the time lately, I've noticed it doesn't make these measured moves. So, with that measured move in mind, I'm thinking about going long here. But what I am seeing is we're making lower highs. Does that mean we're not finished going up? No. But it might mean we may start to come down, and this may end up being the top of a range. So, and until we get some confirmation that we're pushing higher, whereas maybe a higher low and then maybe a failure or something, I'm just going to have to stay out of it. And we have had a breakout at the bottom and a bullish bar. But at the moment, I'm seeing lower highs, and the way that's coming down, that's not good for you. You get into a trade like that, you've got to change your underwear. See, look at that. If you take a trade like that, you do not want to see that. The chance of that coming down and stopping out is pretty high. Although, we are making, I don't know, you may get lucky, but if you had this channel, you think, there you go, nice big bullish bar right on the key entry point. Look at that, you got shafted. Now that's the dilemma for all of us at the moment. These areas that we take our trades, that's where we make our money from. Also, it's where all the traps are. So it's so hard to get your arse shafted, and none of us want that, really, do we? But you go sideways, you drop out the bottom, and look what happens. Triggers you. The market knows people are going to take that, and they know your stops are going to be below here. So whether you took that one right at the bottom, I looked at that one right at the bottom of this, we're still expecting to go up. Look, spare under, but yeah, but it's you know what I'm saying, Robin, don't you? It's where we take our, that's what I'm thinking. Sometimes you're better off taking them in the middle of one of these where we're pushing up, when no one's trying to shaft you. We know the markets and the algorithms are getting you out here. It's working on less experienced traders. Sometimes you're better off waiting for this to move 1, 2, 3, start having a nice push like that, and then jumping in. Look, no one's trying to get you down there. Same here. Once we start to push up nicely into a nice tight channel, jump in here. Just, I don't know, 1.5 tick risk. Sorry, 1.5 point risk, 1.5 point. No one's trying to get you. If we get some of these nice tight ranges, I'm going to start just putting a little mark on and seeing how accurate they can be. Try going for 1-to-1, just put a couple of makeshift lines. Light fell, second entry. You on about here going short. Trouble is, see that there? It's triggered. At the moment, the overall is up. So, that's what I'm saying. You just don't know at the moment. I'm thinking at the moment the market's been going up. It's going a bit sideways, and it's dropped. I mean, it's clearly going sideways in there, yeah? So that's a breakout. So if it fails, you'd expect it to push back into the range. But at the moment, I'm looking for these two legs. If we're in a channel here, I'm looking for it to break a high, yeah? Now, if you took that short there, the market's moved about 2 ticks, and it's pushing up now. If we can get a higher low here, then that might be an option to go. In fact, you could probably bring this down here and call that. That's why I don't like messing around with these channels. Sometimes they can get you into trouble unless you know what you're doing. But let me just remove these because it's just confusing now. Okay, so it does seem to be working quite nicely. Now, if you took that failure there, and that's a fair-sized bar, isn't it? 2.5. That's a 3-point bar. Tick above, tick below is a 3.5 point risk there. The way that's pushing up, I wouldn't be shocked if it took that out. Let's see, if it closes above the EMA, I'd say that's going to continue higher. I expect it to break the highs. If this is a channel, and indeed it's starting to look like a channel. We had a leg up, 2-legger correction, another leg up to here. I talked about this before, after 3 good bars. Yeah. You don't always get them, but you know when you get 3 quite nice bars that fit in quite tight, yeah? That type of thing, you know what I mean, in a direction, and maybe just buy. the trouble is, the best strategies, or these strategies we're using, and the areas we take them are where people are trying to trap you, or the markets are trying to trap you. No one's thinking about your ear because the market's going up. So just out a bit of fun, if I see any of those tight trades, I'm going to go, okay, let's do a makeshift buy here, put a little mark here, 2 points or a tick and a half, depending on the ATR, 1 for 1, see what happens. And then if it starts to work, I may try it on a demo, on an evaluation, just give it a try. But I looked at something like this yesterday, if you remember rightly. After I took it, what was that trade I took? I took that trade here, and then I marked that, if you remember. Making low, look at that, and that fits quite nice. So I took a short. I took that big bearish short. It triggered me and pushed up. So I don't trust these downtrends within a trend. Okay, look at that. That might be making a higher low. So it could trap some shorts and it could trap some longs. Now, in all fairness, I would much prefer to take a higher low above that bar, because I'd say, you know, there's going to be some traders in there. There may even be some in there. So it could trap some longs, tick up and come down. So at the moment, I'd say for me, the bias is up. But trouble is, if there's any question whether this channel is right, it makes it hard to make a right decision. Let's have a look.
Order
If we can
submitted.
get above there. Let's see how this finishes first. In all fairness, sorry,
Order
I'm leaving it alone.
cancelled.
It's still congested to me, and I don't have a lot of luck with congestion. Let me have a look. 63. There's some big sell orders at 63, which is here. Now, I would say there's some stops from that, quite probably. So just mark my words. If it does break above that bar, let me have a look. The stops are at 63. I think they're stops. Let's have a look. I won't be surprised if that is at 63. Yeah, there's stops here at 63. Let's move that up to 63. So whether that would push it, if we get above here or not, I don't know. If that pushes above there and hits this, then I can see us having quite a strong push up. Unfortunately, I think to be a higher low, it needs to be at least level with that, or one tick below it. But there's quite likely going to be quite a few stops there, so I don't think that would be a terrible place to take a trade. You could probably call that a higher low, couldn't you?
Order submitted. Order cancelled. Order submitted.
No. No, I'm staying out of
Order
this.
cancelled.
This is crap. I'm making my same old mistakes now. Is it likely to go up? Yeah, probably. Possibly. I think it's more likely than not, but it's just shoppy as shit. I ain't getting involved. I think it'll continue to work now, personally, but I'm not prepared to bet on it at the moment because it's clearly congested. I think it's much better to end on zero than take something stupid and take a silly risk. From now on, I'm avoiding anything like this until it starts to move. These are the areas I want to pick me trades just as it starts to leave the EMA on something nice and positive, but not this crap. Yeah, it is. It's so easy to get suckered in, isn't it? You know, is it going up? I'd say so. Yeah, it is. Once we get above here, and especially there, once we hit this line, then I'm thinking, yeah, then now we're pushing up. And I've seen it do it. It almost teases you. Look, we're going up, we're going up. You jump in and it drops. See that bar there? When that started looking nice and positive, and you're thinking one more tick, and it's going to start to take out these stops, and it teases you, and all of a sudden you're in, and boom, it drops. Like it did there. So straight away you're thinking, oh my God, look, I've just jumped in there. Once it gets above here, then as far as I'm concerned, then we're going to push up to this area there. Okay. Now, I think we're away from the EMA now, and in my opinion, we're going up. Once we get above here, there's nothing there. We're in the realms of the next bit of something we're going to hit is up here. There is some congestion here, so it may a little bit of sidewaysy there in this section, but I expect it to go up now. So now I'm thinking, yeah, bit of a spike and a channel now. Okay, so we're above here now, so I think we're home free. So I certainly expect us to get within this box. Who's Daniel? Who's Daniel? Has somebody mentioned Daniel? There's only one Daniel I know. Daniel Kushin. He's just a trader who trades Pats. It's on the Facebook group. Yeah, so the bit that's got me a bit nervous is we're starting to tip. So it's, people are thinking, maybe we're going down. We had that one there, which triggered that bearish bar there. And then we had, so for me, once we got to this area, we were going to push up. But because it's so choppy, if I got in here and it stopped me out, the simple answer to the question would be, well, it's choppy. Maybe a day like yesterday, really slow. Okay, folks, I'm just going to take a quick 5-minute break. I'm just going to make a cup of tea. It's just slow at the moment. I wanted to start thinking about the bigger picture. So I'll be back in 5. Okay, it did exactly what I thought it was going to do. It is frustrating when you stay out. I pretty much knew it was going to at least get into here and make that measured move. It is frustrating when it does it. It teases you, and you're like, oh, choppy, I won't get in, and what happens? Off it goes. It is frustrating. Does your bloody head in. But there you go. What can you do? Okay, so now this is looking like a channel. Now we've come back and bounced a few times off here, touched here, fit in beautifully across the top. Now I'd say yeah, see, out of all this, I think really that probably may have been the better trade to take, especially after we've had a push here. But in all fairness, you're better off waiting for a higher low, because the last thing you want to do is after this, it struggled to get high there, and we came down once, twice. That was a failure, so there may have been some trades in there, and then if you took that one, you may call that a lower high, and you may take that nice big bearish bar, and what happens? It goes down, it triggers below it, I don't know, 3 ticks or whatever, isn't it? Something like that. Yeah, 3 ticks below her and turns up. Trouble is, if you're looking for a higher low here, if you look left, you've got all this shit, so it's just so odd. Okay, so we have got larger liquidity levels starting to appear around about the 45.70. So I would say we may come back here and then push up some more. We may get a bit of a trend. It's starting to look like it, isn't it? I think we had a similar day yesterday, didn't we? Started off a little bit shitty, and yeah, we started off a bit choppy and then we went up, but we went up, choppy, up, choppy, up, choppy. So that first bit of chop isn't too bad. Second bit, maybe not as bad as yesterday, but I'd like to get close to this top line here. So we got a leg, breaking a leg, so there's looks like a measured leg there. So a few ticks higher would be nice. Be nice to coincide with this top. So the liquidity area starts at 69, which is here. So maybe we hit some of them here and then come back here and work a bit higher to pick these other levels up. Excuse me. Yeah, so they go up as high as, yeah, there's a bundle around about the 70 and they go up as high as 72. So that's indicating to me, yeah, there's not much down here, in all fairness. If you're looking on Bookmap, everything's up here. So that's indicating to me we are starting to move up. So what I'd like before we get too much higher is to come back here and then start maybe looking for entries off here. Perfect. Now, I'd like us to not hit 69 there now to start working back, because I'd like to see those areas are still available to move up from. If you're looking at Bookmap, it's clearly moving up in this direction. These areas, strong areas of liquidity are up here. Now, obviously, as we know, prices move to liquidity. There's not a great deal below. There are a few buy orders here or there, but I'm assuming the buy orders available around about the 65, which is here, which will be indicating if we can get something to come down to about here, maybe that might be an area where people are going to buy and come out up here. So that's just, I don't know, possibilities. But yeah, I mean, between 69 and 70, there's the best part of 1,000 orders there. Let's see if we get anything from Mac. Yes, excellent. Beautiful. That's where I wanted to start working our way down. That's just indicating that channel is just nice. It's actually fitting really nice for a change. Yeah. Max got it out. I originally had it. We got this one leg up here and a break, and obviously I did that one, but now we've come sideways and come down here. I'm assuming he would probably maybe pick up that bigger channel. And now we've bounced off it really nice a few times, and here, and the top's fitting really nice. I don't think you can deny that. It's fitting nice now. Leg up, sideways down, and we're continuing up, which is telling me we're working in there. No one will argue with the fact that that's working nice in there. Touch beautifully, and working beautifully at the top end as well. 65 is also yesterday's high. No, we only trade the day though. Yesterday's high. No, we only trade the day though. Yeah, I mean, yesterday's high was higher than the previous days, and the previous days, and the previous days, and the previous days. So we're continuing up again. S&P is looking nice and strong at the moment. Obviously, if you look at the daily, we had a massive sort of over about 14 or 15 months, a massive down, and then we sort of broke out above it, came back down, and we've been sort of doing that for the last, I don't know, 4 months, 5 months, 3 months, somewhere around there. But yeah, we sort of up and down here for a while, then we broke out, bounced a few times, and then we're working over here. So it's looking nice and strong every day. Most days we're making new highs. Obviously over the last few days, there. At the end of every day, there. So yeah, same again. So every day we're making high highs. So, and we have today. So whether we'll continue higher, I think it's quite likely. We're in a nice strong trend now. Market's looking nice. It is slow. EMA's lowish, not as low. I think it went down to 136. I noticed, and it's very slow. But you know, if we can get an entry back here, I mean, as I've said before, you only really need one trade a day. If you can get one trade a day in these markets, one nice solid 2-point trade a day, you'll do all right. The only downside is you've got to wait for it. I think quite a few traders didn't take a trade yesterday. I think Marco marked one. Whether he took that trade, I don't know. There was another guy who commented when he put his and said he never took a trade. So there wasn't a great deal of offerings around yesterday, in all honesty. Not what we call really high quality setups. I mean, the thing is, if you look at this earlier, we had that little channel up here. We had a break, so we had two legs down. Nice big bullish bar. And it worked beautifully, yeah. But look at it. It's clearly congested. We've got loads of stems. And if you took that and it went against you, people would go, why did you trade that? It's clearly congested. But to me, it's relatively clear. It's one of those ones that looks clear, but if it fails, it's because of this. So, you know, I forget who it was. Somebody said, was it the Penguin guy saying, you can trade congestion as long as you know what you're doing? Well, that might be an area where it's congested, but you know, we sort of had a leg down and another leg down, nice big bullish bar. There was also a failure there which triggered. So I don't know, maybe you could take that trade. I don't know, but the trouble is everyone's got slightly different tolerance. You know, what might be a high probability trade to one might be a 70% trade to another. You know, some people see trades. You know, I've noticed, you know, people like Marco would mark trades that I wouldn't necessarily take, and you know, so that's the trouble. We've all got different levels of where we deem it's an acceptable trade, which it makes trading difficult. You know, people think it's simple. Well, you've got a strategy. You take a second entry long, you take a failure, you take a higher low. How difficult can it be? But that's not the difficult part. It's applying it to the context is the real art. And it takes time, and I forget sometimes, and people do remind me that I've only been doing it 2 years, and You know, maybe if in another 2 years you're still doing it full time and you're not making relatively consistent money, then you know, then maybe someone can say, well, you need to be earning now. But quadra-bottom, actually. Quadra-bottom. I'm not sure what you mean there, bud. Quadra-bottom. You're on about it's hit something 4 times. Is that what you mean? I'm not sure what you mean there, bud. Oh, you mean there? Yeah. So, excuse me a second. Sorry about that. Can't ignore your wife, can you? That's more than my life's worth. Okay, so maybe we get a leg down, something down here. Who knows? Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. Quadra bottom, yeah. 4, 3, 4, 6 is the bottom. Yeah, I got you. One leg down. Come down here. Yeah, still a large level up here. This is where I expect it to come. Unfortunately, sometimes it just doesn't get close to EMA. Oh, that's frustrating. See, if you'd have taken a trade here, it triggers you and come down here. That's the frustrating thing. Yes, at the key entry points, with the exception of that, you may have taken that. It's hard to say, but at the moment it's dipping down, so I think it's a little bit risky. I think you'd have to wait for the higher low. I think you'd have to wait for the higher low. Unfortunately, we don't get one, and then once it gets sort of above these areas, off it trots, and it is frustrating. Same here, nothing really here. Bit too early to start thinking about trend anyway. For me, when we come back to here, that's when I might start thinking a bigger picture where I know I can sort of, it hits 3 times. And if it hits 3 times and hits as nicely as that done on the back end, as far as I'm concerned, it's as good as a channel, that, unfortunately. We expect an entry somewhere around here, but it doesn't even get here. First entry and off it goes. It is frustrating. See, the trouble is, maybe a lot of traders might take that trade and maybe have a stop down here and have a profit up here, but because we work in such tight margins, we haven't got that luxury. We have to wait for it to come down. So that liquidity that I can see at the moment runs out. Runs out at 45, 72.5, 72. So it runs out around about here. Would that be right? Maybe not that high. Yeah, 72. It fades off there, just a little bit above there. So that's not saying if we can't bounce off here and start moving, this doesn't move up higher, because if I had my take profit up here, and maybe I'd taken a trade here or something, as this maybe comes back to the trend line and starts to move up, then maybe you would extend something so much. A lot of times when you see these liquidity levels, they do move up. But above that, I can't see a great deal above that. There's a few around about 75, but not what I would call strong areas. This is by far the strongest, so I would expect this absolutely to hit through this. It's just because it's so far from the EMA and the edge of the channel here, it may not have the legs. You've got to rely on people buying there to push that higher, really. But it's close to the top of this channel, so once it starts to move, people may jump in thinking, oh yeah, and then all of a sudden down it comes. So it may push through this now, or it may come back a bit lower first. On the downside is it's at the top of this channel. So having said that, I would say there is probably a measured move there. Okay, so we're pushing into this now. So these are sell orders, these take profit orders. So you were thinking with these being sell orders, it would hit them and drop down, but so many times it pushes through them quite strongly. So I don't quite understand the theory behind that. You think when it hits these sell, you know, if you buy down here, you're selling your profits, you think then price will come down. You know, market goes up, people take the profits, market comes down. So you'd think these areas, but so many times it pushes strongly through them and continues up, which I don't quite get. Okay, that's pushed straight through them. A few ticks there. That's eaten all those up. Now there is more at 72. That's what I mean. Why does it keep going? You think it would hit these sellers and come down. See, sometimes when I've taken trades up here, I try and get out a few ticks before we hit these orders. And the way I'm seeing this, sometimes you're better off putting it a few ticks above it. So I don't know, perhaps it pushes up, takes time to go through, and by the time everything's triggered. But that will be a nice place to start to move down. It would confirm again, once again, the top of this channel. Yeah, see, if you look now on Bookmap, these liquidity levels are now being extended. Not only is there some there at 72.50, but now it's appearing at 75, which, funnily enough, is where this measured leg is. So whether we're going to push out the top, I won't be shocked if we do. But yeah, that's what I mean about these areas. They do keep taking them higher and higher. I'm assuming you're moving your stop up. You take it up a bit, then you move your stop up maybe. The trouble is there's so many different ways of trading market strategies. Yeah, there's 1,000 orders around this area. So I would expect it again. Yeah, from 72 right the way up to 75. So I would absolutely expect to get into this box here. And I would say quite probably up to this measured leg. Now we're up to this year's highs anyway. So who knows how high it could go. If we hit this measured leg, which we did yesterday, we had, I think it was a push up here and then something else, and then we had that pull down, didn't we? Forget where it was yesterday. Let's have a look. So if we went from here to maybe there, no. I can't remember what happened anyway. I think it was here, something like that. Then we had that bit of strong push up, that sort of last minute rally, and then it dropped. So I wouldn't be surprised at some point if we do get a pullback. Yeah, there is buy orders around here. So it'd be nice to get some movement down. Okay. We're now eating into this liquidity here. I prefer that now, actually. Touch is nice. Touched on the nail there. A tick off it there. Fit in nice there. Once, twice, 3 times. Bunch of times there. A few times there. That looks all right to me now. It's relatively neat, that. Fortunately, every time we come back to these areas, there's been nothing but risk. I'd say we've had 2 bunches of measured legs. One there. One there. Okay. That's what I was hoping. We'd move away from this now. There's still enough liquidity there to warrant going back up, so it'd be nice to come back here. Just hope we don't do this sort of thing, come back a little bit and then off again. Unfortunately, we've got to get ours really. I don't really want to take a trade on the midline because it could trigger and come back to this line. Ideally, I want to get back here and catch that moving up. dear me. Not sure how people view this. It looks like a little channel. I'm not a fan of taking that. I did something like that the other day and it went against me. I'm not a fan of taking them off here either. Now, there is buy orders around about 68, 69, which is down here. So it's a little bit stacked up, congested, and you could say that's a little channel itself, and it does look like it. And if that pushes up level and there's 4 back-to-back, so for me, this is a bit risky. So I'm just sitting out of it. It's not what I would call 2 clear legs. I mean, you could say there's a leg and a leg, but if that pushes up here, you've got 4 back-to-back, and for me, that's congested, and I've just got to try and do things the right way. Now, if it means it goes without me, then so be it. It's just one of those things, but it's just a bit risky in my opinion. I mean, you could argue that maybe that's it and we've had a break in a new low. That may be the case, but to me, this is a little channel, so I just don't know. A little bit risky. And as we know, unless you take something bloody obvious, you just get stopped out. Trapped so easy. Is 1 micro $5? Yes, I believe it is. It's 10 times smaller than the ES, so 1 micro is $5, 1 mini is $50. The thing I like about the micros is if you can only afford to trade 2 contracts and you'd like a runner, you can trade the micros and split the equivalent of that up into 4. So if you trade, I don't know, let's say you trade 10 micros, which is $50, you could trade maybe 2 of the micros, you know, or 2 or 3 of the micros as your runner and the rest. So that's the only sort of reason that I think the micros are useful to use. You know, having a runner is a good thing, but unfortunately, really, unless you can afford to trade 10 contracts, it's not worth doing. I think Max says never trade less than 20%, so 20-25%. If you look at Mac, he trades 20 contracts, 15 are a scalp and 5, so he's trading basically 25%, but obviously on 2 contracts. It's a shame you can't split 2 contracts up into 4, have it work out into 4 equal parts. You know what I mean? But the only way of doing that is with the micros, really. Absolutely right, yeah. Suggestion means indecision. It could suddenly go in any direction, absolutely. So that would be more like it, leg down there, break, another leg, and then maybe wait for a higher low. Trouble is, I'm not a fan of taking the first entries. Even if it is a second entry, I much prefer it to push up and give us a higher low, then that's confirmation then that we're likely to go higher. Does make you wonder when it's slow like this whether it is worth switching on to the 1000 tick. At least the volume's going to be double. Does that look any better, does it? I mean, if you fit that there, then there was a higher low there. Unfortunately, it was just under the email. I don't know whether it works out better. Second entry long there. Ooh, I like that better, actually. Let me just... So, if you add that there like that, maybe. Let's have a look. Does that fit? Not too bad, actually. Not too bad. Let's see if we get any trades there. So, leg down, higher low. Second entry long. That worked. Let's have a look. Well, I see something else, didn't I? I'm sure I saw another trade here. Actually, we came back here, we pushed up first entry. There we go, there was a failure there. Nice big bullish bar, didn't trigger till it started going up, so that might have been an option. So there was a second entry along there. You may have called that high low, I don't know, but it does make you wonder if there's any more options going down to the 10,000, sorry, to the 1000 tick when it's like this. I mean, all the 1000 tick just gives you a little bit more detail. See, that's the bar there. That was the first entry. The failure was here. We haven't got it on here, but we had a failure there, so... I mean, it's fitting really nice in all honesty, isn't it? We've gone from here, we're a tick off here, that's fine. Touched a few times here. I mean, it's obviously touching. Makes a difference on the back end as well. That gives it more credence. There is no absolute winning formula. We only trade high probability trade to the market. Yeah, true. But obviously on the 1000 tick, there was a couple of entries that would have been warranted. I mean, there's not enough detail there, but on the 1000 tick chart, there's twice as much detail, and that gave us a really nice failure and a lovely big solid bar, which didn't trigger till it came back and then moved up. So that would have been a trade. And here, we've only got a first entry there. On the 10,000, there was a clear second entry long, and what happened? It pushed up. So I don't know. Maybe when volume's low, it's something you can do. I might message Mac out of just curiosity. Sometimes these times where, you know, this time of year when volume's low and it's slow, would it make a difference? You know, what will be the outcome of possibly trading on a 1000 tick chart? It's worth asking the question. You get more volume, and possibly. In fact, what I might do later is photograph this, and then I'll flick over to the 1000 and photograph that, and then just mark the entries on the 1000 tick, and then just ask, maybe message Mac and just say, you know, does it warrant possibly switching on to a lower time frame when markets are particularly slow and less volume? We did change it. We went up to the 1000 tick. I think markets were really volatile maybe a year ago, 8 months ago. I can't remember if you remember that. But Mac said you can go up to the 3000 tick, and it just slowed things down. So I don't think there's any reason why you can't. A setup's a setup, like we heard Mac say. It works on any time frame on any market. Well, I mean, the winning formula is to find a setup. If there's no setups, then there's nothing you can do. But if you do change down to the 1000 tick, I clearly showed two setups which should have both worked. So perhaps sometimes that little bit more detail gives you an option. Okay, so we've got a little micro channel here. We've got a break of it and a new low. And that, one leg, two leg, that is a second entry long there. You can change the tick chart to mimic a minute time frame. 2000 tick chart Does it really? The 1 minute. But if you slow it down, you need to go lower in ticks. Yeah. I might message Matt just out of curiosity. I don't often send him a message, but it'd be nice to just mark this chart with the entries I can see, which at the moment is nothing, and then mark the 1,000 tick chart with the entries. I don't know, maybe on really low volume days it's something that you can maybe do. I don't see why not. A setup's a setup, isn't it? I thought it was more like the 5 minute actually, the 2,000 tick chart, maybe not. I mean, this is punishment. This is torture anyway. I mean, if you're a scalper and you work on fast-moving markets, this is torturous, isn't it? But I suppose what's worse is getting into trade and spending 5 minutes in it. Go lower in ticks, yeah. I mean, with a low ATR like that, maybe it's an option to go down to, you know, from whatever you go down to, drop down by a couple of ticks. But it's been a while, as far as I can remember, that we've been able to get a signal bar and a tick above it and tick below and make it fit in 2 points. You know, so maybe go down to a point or 6. I mean, I go for 2 points anyway, but I know some people like Daniel and Marco go for 6 ticks. So I don't know, maybe they go down to a point, I go down to 6 ticks, depends. But hopefully, once we get July out of the way, I don't know. I don't know how the institutional guys work. Do they have a set period where they go abroad on holiday or take their holidays, or do they just randomly take them? I don't know. 20 years ago, it was like the 5 minutes, but my child felt, yeah. Trouble is, there's people like me and you in there. Anybody with a computer and internet connection really can learn to trade, can't they? But what I will say is, I would say probably just by knowing the percentage that that fail, I'd say there's very few people trading with Apex that actually move these markets, because we've got genuinely money going into them, because obviously most of us are on a lot of us are on evaluations, some of us are on PA accounts. It's only really until Apex move you on to a genuine funded account where they, you know, copy your trades. But until that level, really nothing we do in the market is going to impact, nothing we do in a trading day is going to impact this market in the slightest. You know, obviously we're on demos even at PA level until, you know, maybe if you're successful and making $20,000 a month, then maybe at some point Apex will start copying your trades, and only then really do we have any type of impact on the market. You know, in all intents and purposes, if you're on a PA and you're not possibly, you know, not actually funded, we're all on demos, so obviously demos, you know, have no bearing on this market whatsoever. Okay, we've had this leg down a break. So if we can bounce up here and then give us now, we've still got, let me have a look. There is still some liquidity, not as much, but there is still some liquidity around this level from 72 to 75. There's not a great deal below. There is some at 65, which is here. So I don't know, maybe we'll get a break here and then a push up, or maybe we'll bounce off here. But if we can't bounce off here and maybe get a higher low, then we may have another chance. But unfortunately, all our entries have got to come from this area, and there's really been nothing. So, but as I say, there is some buys there at 65.25, which is just, I don't know, maybe 4 ticks below this line, below the yesterday's high. So maybe we'll bounce off here, or maybe we have a break. But up until now, it's fitting really lovely in this channel. Yeah, see, I mean, you can micro adjust that and get it to fit. So that to me isn't really an overshoot, not with all this levels up here. But we've got to wait for a high low or a failure, unfortunately, above here. Although I have seen Mac mark Doge. This is a good place to go long before, but let's leave that there for now. You took that one there. Is that all it is? Yeah, see, it depends on your risk tolerance. What is it? It's only 3/4 of a point. Tick above, tick below is 1.25 points. About as low as I suppose you get, really. And it worked. You just don't know. See, sometimes, on a trend, I don't see a problem with doing that. But what I will say is, it depends on the person. If you don't mind, if you can take the losses based on the bigger picture, then stuff like that won't really bother you. At the moment, because I'm just going through a bit of a rough spell, I want to try and avoid any type of a loss if I can, which means I've only got to wait for the best trades. It's a little bit risky, but it is off the key entry point, and in all intents and purposes, the key entry point is holding, so slightly more aggressive trade. But yeah, that's the thing about trading. It is a personal thing, and it is up to you. Just because we have these rules we follow doesn't mean you've got to follow them. You can do what you want. I'm pretty sure Mac breaks his own rules. I saw him mark 2 dojis in a line. Now, obviously, a doji is a no-no. It's a bad signal bar. But when you're as experienced as Mac, then, it's like we all learn to drive a certain way, don't we? We learn to 3-point turn a certain way, and we learn to reverse we use a certain method. When you learn to drive, you don't cross over your arms, all that stuff. But when you pass, you sort of naturally find your own feet. I think everyone adapts ever so slightly. Some people, are better at others. Some people take a little bit more risk than others. Some people trade more points than others. Some people trade less points. So everyone has a slight interpretation of the rules. I mean, even people like Marco and Daniel, who generally are good rule followers and relatively successful, they have adjusted slightly. They've gone from max 4 points to 6. So everyone, finds, I think it was Indy you mentioned to me a week or so ago, everyone, finds their own fate and feels the market. I'm just going to put that back, actually, because it was fitting perfectly there. I don't think that's an overshoot, but nonetheless, I'm going to leave it where it was. I'm not going to just try and drag in, but it's not a convincing overshoot for me, that is. Came back and got your runner. Yeah, but man, if you can get a point out of that, you've done all right. As I say, it's a small risk. What is it? Would it tick above, tick below 1 point? Was it? 70. Yeah, so it's 1.25, isn't it, from top to bottom? If you give a tick above and tick below. But yeah, it's that small. You can barely bloody see it, can't you? But it is about finding some balance, isn't it? And if you do have a particular small bar, then sometimes the rewards outweigh the risks. I mean, you'd have got 2 to 1 on that. So as far as I'm concerned, if you can risk 1 and get 2, and that would work most of the time, you'd expect. We haven't had an overshoot there, so there's no reason why we'd have a break. I mean, we may have a break at any time, really. It could break at any time, but the bar's so small, and the distance to the EMA is over 2 points, so good on you. So what we need here is some form of a higher low. It's still trying to push up. Let me have a look. Yeah, there is some liquidity still up there. Not a huge amount, but certainly way more up here than there is down here. So market moves towards the liquidity. And with the general overall of being upwards, I think it's fair that it's going to push up. I'd still like to see this measured move played out. And in all fairness, if the market continues, these liquidity areas will go higher. I wouldn't be shocked if we ended up getting as high as here. I mean, 1 leg, 2 legs, a couple of legs of correction. I mean, it's as good as getting up there, isn't it? There's no reason why we can't. In fact, let's get rid of that for now anyway. In fact, now I'll tell you what. Let's put that like that. 1, 2 legs of correction. So there's no reason why we can't get up there. It's not a huge move from top to bottom, is it? 35 points is peanuts, isn't it? So let's see. Okay, there's a higher low form in there. Now I like that. Now
Order
that's something
submitted.
I have to go for. Okay, it's a couple of ticks off its high, but I still think it's okay.
Order cancelled. Order submitted.
I'm going to put a market order above it because if it is an entry, a lot
Order
of people
submitted.
might get in on it. So, okay, that's all I can do now. We've had 2 legs back. We've pushed up. We've pushed above the EMA. Yeah, the Singer bar could be slightly better, but I still think it's okay. We're still moving up. There's still liquidity up here. We haven't. That's not a convincing break for me. It's a 2.5 point risk. It is what it is. It's as good as we've got. I mean, it might be a tick higher on someone else's charts, but as far as I'm concerned, it's a higher low. I'm out plenty before this liquidity. I'm out before the highs. Yeah, it's a good trade, I think. I don't know whether they come down to 6 ticks. But in all honesty, this liquidity is here. We're nowhere near at the highs. We're out before the highs, so I think it's worth holding on. Yeah, I think that's okay, that. We've had 1 leg down, 2 legs down. I don't think this is far enough to call an overshoot because you can micro-adjust this until it works okay, so I think it's fine. In fact, with the ATR being so low, I think I'm going to come down to 6 ticks, I think. Let's play it safe. Actually, that's 7 ticks. Okay, that's where 2 points are. Let's stick with the 2 points. I think we're out plenty of time before this, in all fairness. And even if it does come down a bit, it might bounce again. We might have a push up, another leg, and another push up. It's fine. One leg up, a little bit of sideways, another leg up. Strong liquidity at 72 and above, so there's a lot of liquidity here. Market's clearly moving up. There's no argument there. Tiny, you may call that an overshoot, but I don't think. I've heard Max saying I don't think it's an overshoot many times, so
Order filled.
Beautiful. Thank Christ for that. I really needed a bad win, and I think the signal bar could have been slightly better, but it's still closed above the EMA. It's still strong. We've bounced here. We haven't come back to the lows. We've pushed above the EMA. I think that's okay. Oh, I'm so happy. I so needed a win. I really did. That's made me feel so good. Oh, if nothing else happens now for the rest of the day, I feel great. 2 points. Happy. Thank Christ for that. It's a higher low. No argument there. I liked it. Yeah, another tick or two might have looked even rosier, but there you go. There's a slight tolerance there, and I think in the bigger picture, we've had a leg down, we've had a break, we've come down, we've bounced a few times here, 3 times in a line there, we've pushed up, gone above the EMA, came back down, pushed up. I think that's all right. Just for my confidence level, I so needed a win. So higher low plus 2 points. Thank Christ for that. I needed to get back on the saddle of patience, and it worked. Just out of interest, it'd be interesting to see how far this comes down. I still think it's going to go higher. We've got a measured leg up here. At some point, it'll go up. People will take profits, especially when we get to here. People will take profits. It's going to come down. But there we go. Well done, geezer. Excellent. Thanks. Everybody else, I think a few people took that, didn't you? Oh, Sam, good job. Took the longer as well, earlier than yours. Yeah, nice one. Yeah, great. Brick, good on you. Great. It's nice to get an half-decent setup, and I think it's those trades I need to focus on more, where we have a leg down, we have a break, and the higher low confirmation. Now, if you're as clever as, who was it? Who took that one? Who took that small one? It was Jay. Yeah, if you're as smart as Jay, you got in there nice and early. And I think, to be fair, with such a small risk, it's okay. I mean, if I'd had 5,000 in the bank of each of my 5 PA accounts, then yeah, I'd have probably jumped on that myself. But at the moment, because my confidence level, that's the trouble. You win a couple of trades, your confidence level's nice, you feel nice and relaxed. You lose a couple of trades and it messes with your head. So, how long have we been going for? Half 2, half 3, half 4. We've been going for 2.5 hours, and I've finally managed to sit patiently and wait for entry, and I took it and it's paid off. So it just goes to show, doesn't it, if you can sit there patiently. So I've now just got to work on this same platform of sitting there patiently and waiting for an offering and take nothing less. So I'm so pleased. 2-0, the little bar, small risk. Yeah. See, that's a personal thing, and I've seen Mac mark them many times, and I've heard him say it's a 3-tick risk. You might as well take that. But like I say, there is an element of risk in everything we do, and it's balancing that risk. It's tipping that risk in my favour, and right at the key entry point, after a leg, a break and a leg, the smallest possible bar you'll ever find in a day on this type of market, yeah, you're okay to take that. And Mac, as long as his fall's exactly the same, I'd be surprised if he doesn't mark that. So we've got a leg up there, a break. Now, I'd say we're going to have another leg. So, one leg up. Another leg up. Yeah, everything's indicating we're going higher. We've got that bigger measured leg there, 2 smaller measured legs there. I mean, look at that. We're pushing strong, aren't we? Now, in the future, once I get these PA accounts up to a nice level, if we can get into a nice trend and I can take a trade like that, then what I may do is sit on it a bit. Maybe hold it to that first swing. So if I can wait for it to go up and come down, if I took it there, actually you'd be taking it there, wouldn't you? See, I mean, look, there's 5 points there. If you can get a decent, if it's a strong market and it's doing what it's doing, one leg, two legs back, one leg, two leg, everything's pointing with the liquidity I've got, everything's pointing for it to come up here. So taking a good setup like that and holding it is not a bad thing. I mean, you're up to 5 points already, so maybe you follow it up with this bar, then that bar, and maybe you take, I don't know, 4 days worth of profit in one day. But I'm only ever going to consider doing that again like I used to if I get nice, healthy balances. If I can get 5,000, 7,000 in each, then I don't mind risking, 2 points. If I think the circumstances are right, and as far as I'm concerned, the way this market's going up, we got one leg broken into two smaller legs, 2 legs back, another leg broken into 2 smaller legs. Everything's indicating we're going up, so I don't think it's a bad thing taking the higher low and holding onto it. And if you did hold onto it, straight away you'd be up to nearly 6 points now. So that's what I'd like to do in the future, being able to have the confidence to. And if you can get 3 trades worth of profit in one go, you can afford to lose one now and again. So there's buy orders appearing here. So to me, they're indicating if the market comes down again, I'm going to get in on this move. So it is looking like a nice day, and I'm so pleased that I've got that trade 2.5 hours. I needed vindicating, I do, because I've been, you take a loss. And I think all this stemmed, if you remember, I decided to go for more points, didn't I? And when I first started streaming about 7 months ago, I was going for more points. But I think the market was a bit different then. Things have changed. Things have got tougher. They're not as easy as they were even 7 months ago. Now, why is that? Oh, I don't know. Maybe time of year, maybe just the way things are. Sometimes things are changing. But look how nice and strongly that's just now going. So if you did sit on that trade, I wouldn't sit on every trade, but if we're in a nice strong market and it comes nicely to the entry point and we get a higher low, then that's indicating we're going higher. So if you did jump on there and came out a few ticks, I mean, at the moment you're up to 7.5, you're up to 8 points nearly there, and I expect that to be there and possibly lower, so possibly even higher. It's going to be tough beginning of September. Yeah, I do. To be honest with you, mate, there's tough days, but at the end of the day, to be able to survive in this business, you have to be able to cope with them. And the best way of doing that is to do what we should all be doing anyway, is just sit and wait for trades that are obvious. Leg down, we had a short-term trend channel break, leg down, little bar there, pushed up a higher low, and it ticked below there, pushed up. Now, is that an okay bar? Yeah, it's an 8 out of 10 bar. Doesn't mean it's not going to work, but it is a higher low. And we expect to continue up. There's no reason why we shouldn't. So I think that's a good trade, and I'll be surprised as long as it falls the same. The likes of the Daniels and Marcos, they'll be taking that, and I'll be shocked if Mac doesn't as well. A bunch of you guys have, I have, so that tells you, doesn't it? So, but look how nice that continued up. Yeah, you've been sat on 10 points there. Now that's the equivalent of 5 trades in one. So even if you lose 1 or 2 now and again. So that's how I'd like to continue to trade. But obviously, market conditions have to warrant that. And the way this market's beautifully moving in there and we've come back, then as far as I'm concerned, that's a trade that's worth sitting on. When you've got nice, healthy bank balances, put it that way. I don't mind risking 2 points if I got $5,000 in 5 accounts. Yeah, see if you'd have put your stop there and then followed each of these bars up, you didn't break below there, to that one, that's where you'd have been stopped out. So if you went from there, you'd have got exactly 7 points. So given the right market conditions, sitting on a trade's okay. But in all honesty, the way my mind and confidence are lately, I'm so happy to get my 2 points out of that. Oh, look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. It's amazing how accurate these things are. In fact, that's a tiny bit higher than that. There. I mean, look at that. Right to the nearest tick. We got a leg up, 2 legs of correction and a leg up. See if you'd have come out 2 or 3 ticks below there off that. Yeah, you'd have got 9.5 points out of that. That's nearly 5 trades in one. Or risk 1, make 5. So in the future, that's how I'd like. Now, we don't always get opportunities like this, but when we do have a nice opportunity of a really nice trend like that and a nice offering with the high possibility of making another leg, I'm going to hold on to those. Even if you can get one of those every 2 or 3 weeks, it just gives you 5 trades in one. And then just follow up on each swing, maybe there. If you'd have followed on each swing, you'd have got taken out. So you'd have got 9.5 points out of that. Right up to that nearest tick. Look at that. I love when I see those. It just goes to show how accurate these markets can be. But look how that's fitting in there. Sweet as a nut. It's not often we get such a nice fitting trade. Wouldn't call that an overshoot. It's come down pretty quick there and halted. That's why we've had that little pop out there. But look how nice it's working, both top and bottom. And you could adjust that a tiny fraction. It wouldn't make a damn bit of difference, really. So that proved to be a nice little area, that. In fact, guys, I think I'm going to knock it on the head there. I usually go for 3 hours. We're 20 minutes off 3 hours. And to be honest with you, I really need to go away on a green day. If I happen to take another trade now and something goes, I'll just knock me. So I just want to relax in the evening with a nice solid trading day, because my head's been a bit knackered lately ever since I decided to go for more points and got stung a bit, and it's just put my head in the clouds a little bit. So I've had a nice patient day. Everything's gone perfect to plan today. Nice $200 on 5 PA accounts, so that's fees just under $1,000. So it's been a great day as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to knock it on the head there. I'm going to finish early. I'm going to sit, relax, and have myself a nice glass of single malt. And I'm going to shut my screen down now, and I am not touching this now until tomorrow. So I appreciate all your comments. I hope you guys have had a good day. By the sounds things, I think you have. I know one of you took that one. I think a lot of you took that one. Whether you got anything else, I don't know. But that for me was the trade of the day so far. There's nothing else I see as good as that. A couple of ticks would have been perfect, but I don't really think that makes a difference. Obviously, the context of the market's clearly going up. We've clearly had a leg of break and a new low, and we've bounced up. So thanks, Brick. I appreciate that, mate. So it's been a good day for me. I hope you guys have had a good day as well. Rock River. So that's it for me. So I'm going to mark up my chart. I'm going to shut it down and I'm going to go away. And I'm going to have a nice relaxing evening. Arminas, yeah, cheers to you, mate. I appreciate your comments. Well deserved enjoy. Thanks. Cheers, guys. I appreciate it. It's nice when everything works out, isn't it? It does make you feel good. And I really needed that feel good. So we'll see you guys all tomorrow. So have a great evening. Stay safe. And we'll hopefully tomorrow we'll have another positive day. So take it easy. And I'll see you all tomorrow.